first. Desmond King is their most dangerous returner. He waits at the goal line for the kick of Griffin Oakes, who is tied for 9th in the country. 70% of his kickoffs have been touchbacks.
And Lucy joins the contest and knocks the ball off the tee, or it's the wind. There is kind of a swirling left to right, but down in the bowl, it's kind of right to left. A high enough wind to be a little concerned about.
We are underway from Indiana. King from the 4. Breaks out of the blocking pack. Oakes is there to make the tackle as he got to the 33-34 yard line. C.J. Beathard, the first starting quarterback in Iowa history to start his career 9-0. That includes one start last year. The junior quarterback averaging nearly 225 yards total offense a game, 5th in the Big Ten. On the season, he has thrown for 9 touchdowns. He only has 3 interceptions.
He's a guy who's battling a groin injury, happened about a month ago, has not healed, will not heal, we've been told, until after the season. Beathard is very quick, he can run, but they've had to take that kind of out of the game, and it has affected some of his deep throws as he rotates into the throw as well.
Akram Wadley is the tailback. He's number 25, averages 5.8 yards a carry. They have used 4 different men at that position. And Indiana, which always seems to be playing pretty well on defense early in a ball game before they wear down. Let's take a look at today's Impact Players, brought to you by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry.
Well, we just saw Wadley. He's playing because LaShawn Daniels, the starter earlier in the year, has an ankle injury. He's just coming back. Jordan Canzeri, the second-string running back, has an ankle injury. He was cleared to play, but we're told will not play. And Blythe, a terrific center, is going up against Darius Latham, I think one of the more athletic guys in the conference with a big body in the middle.
Go with 3 wides here. Wadley on the delay across midfield. There's nobody home. Wadley, 65 yards and a touchdown. Indiana, one of the worst defensive units overall in the country. They come in allowing more than 500 yards a game, and they've been hurt for the big play like that all year.
Indiana looked like they weren't quite sure how to match up with this formation. All of a sudden, Marcus Oliver, an outside linebacker, is standing all by himself, and Wadley, who had some fumble issues earlier in the year, has really good shifty speed. He's the quickest back that Iowa has, even though they benched him for a while because of his fumble issues. But as Oliver right here, there's only 6 guys in the frame there. So that's a lot of bodies, and it's a late draw play, and Oliver just couldn't figure out. He didn't close the distance to the running back. A great block on the outside, and because there was 2 receivers to the other side, the safety Dutra is late getting over. What a big play for Wadley. Remember, this was a guy who was benched for the better part of a couple games because of ball security issues. Replaced Canzeri against Northwestern, went for over 200 yards, so certainly has some ability.
Iowa has done this to their opponents all year in the first quarter. They have now outscored them 50-13. Canzeri on the sideline, one of those 4 running backs. And this is old school football for Iowa. You'll see a lot of tight formations that you don't see anywhere else.
I think that Indiana defense was misaligned, Mike. That's 6 bodies in there. They talked about how they were going to have more bodies against the run, because that Beathard is so limited in mobility. That it just looked like maybe because of the youth in that secondary, they didn't have enough guys around the line of scrimmage.
Nate Sudfeld, 48 career touchdown passes. The next one he throws will set an Indiana all-time record for TD passes. Averages more than 290 passing yards a game. That leads the Big Ten. 3 weeks ago in a loss to Rutgers, he threw for over 460, the second most ever in school history. Jordan Coleman will get the first carry. This kid, hurt as he has been about half the season, still averages 131 yards a game. To me, that's miraculous with the time he has missed.
He got injured on a pass play against Ohio State when Joey Bosa tackled Sudfeld into the back of his legs. They had the week off last week and let him rest quite a bit.
Sudfeld, who is very accurate, gets the ball out in the flat to Simi Cobbs, and Simi Cobbs fights for everything he can get till he gets past the sticks, driven out of bounds by Greg Mabin on the corner.
Sudfeld, we saw a couple of weeks ago in the last game against Michigan State, just go toe-to-toe with Connor Cook. One of the best quarterback battles I've seen in a long time in college football. But having Sudfeld healthy for the stretch, that left ankle injury seems fully healed, is a big deal. They can move him now, which they haven't been able to do.
Howard goes into the slot. They throw it downfield, nearly intercepted, in and out of the hands of Miles Taylor. And this club comes in number 1 in the Big Ten with 12 picks. That was almost number 13.
Miles Taylor just sitting right in the middle of the field. Excuse me, that's Lomax dropping off to the right. And as Taylor, the safety, oh boy, what a great job by the safety just sitting there. Lomax was the strong safety, the free safety. Miles Taylor, the free safety.
Howard on the delay bulls his way across midfield for a first down. Howard's the kid they got from the University of Alabama at Birmingham when they disbanded the program. A lot of people were after him, and Howard is just a tough runner.
Flag on the play way down the field, which made me think it was a receiver and a defensive back getting tangled.
Add to the play. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense. Number 14. 15-yard penalty be added on to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
That's their all-star
first of the game.
Corner Desmond King, who was a Thorpe semifinalist.
Well, and a big penalty. Left side of your screen, Desmond King coming in late and knocking down an Indiana player. A couple of Indiana players had kind of been flying into the pile, and I think King didn't like to see that, but you can't do that late.
Divine Redding will give Howard a breather. He's number 34. Sudfeld to throw, blitz coming. And it's incomplete off of Redding's hand. Josie Jewell, the middle linebacker, even though they had the blitz, read that play well and got out in the flat.
Yeah, Jewell almost caught that thing.
Yes, he did.
That's almost 2 interceptions, and this is a great secondary and second level with Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator, took over when Norm Parker, no relation, retired in 2012. This is a well-coached group.
Redding. Straight ahead. Jewell hit him first and then got some help. Jewell, number 2 on the team with 62 tackles at the start of this ball game. A very instinctive middle linebacker.
For Kevin Wilson, he was talking about, they go very fast at Indiana. He started that when he was at Oklahoma. They can really go fast, but if you've noticed, they're really kind of eating some of this play clock. They said there are times when we're not going to go fast because Iowa is a ball control offense. We have to be able to get our defense some rest. They've fallen apart at the end of the last 3 games.
Redding on 3rd and 7. And he's got the first down. Redding got a chance to show what he could do when Howard got hurt.
Redding, very good speed. This is a terrific. This offensive line is great. Look at the blocking. Everybody is swallowed and getting pushed. Very athletic front. A couple of former tight ends in there. Jake Reed and Jason Spriggs, the left tackle, both were high school tight ends who gained some weight. Very much like how Iowa builds their offensive line. That's what Kevin Wilson's doing at Indiana. This
is the 5th best rush defense in the country. And right now, Indiana is winning that battle up front. Jaleel Johnson, probably their best defensive player, at least in the front 7, was the first man to get a hit in that last carry.
Yeah, and for Iowa, they lost Drew Ott, Big Ten defensive end, first team all Big Ten last year, blew out his knee against Illinois. So they're needing guys like Johnson to step up with Ott out.
And Ott had 5 sacks before he tore his ACL. Howard's back in. 2nd and 9 for the Hoosiers on the opening drive. Howard follows his blockers very well and always seems to get a couple of yards after that first contact.
Yeah, we were talking to Kevin Johns, the offensive coordinator who calls plays with head coach Kevin Wilson. And when they started studying Howard at UAB, he went for over 1,500 yards. He said nothing stood out. He didn't look like the biggest guy, the fastest guy, but he is just so efficient and productive. A lot of space to the right for Sudfeld.
Big third down here, call it 4. They have to reach the 11 to move the chains. Sudfeld with good protection goes underneath, but not much there because Jewell unloads on the tackle, so they'll send on the field goal unit and settle for a try for 3.
A little bit of an adventure. Griffin Oaks, one of the better kickers percentage-wise in the Big Ten. They were trying to get Mitchell Page there they were trying to clear it out. That's what all that space was for, but Page was covered. But Oaks struggled against Michigan State in his last game. He missed a 42-yard field goal and also 2 PATs. So Kevin Wilson probably has his heart in his throat a bit right now.
This from 32. Even with that miss, he's 10 out of 12 on the year.
Barrett being suspended for being arrested for DUI during their bye week.
Oaks, who kicked the 32-yard field goal, set to kick off to Desmond King, who is averaging 22.5 yards a return. Oaks gets all of this one, and Iowa will start from the 25. Let's go to the sideline and a little background on C.J. Beathard.
Yeah, what an impressive family tree he has, Mike. His grandpa, Bobby Beathard, an illustrious 38-year career as a general manager in the National Football League. 7 Super Bowl appearances, 4 wins. His dad, Casey, legendary country music songwriter, 2-time broadcast music songwriter of the year. Kenny Chesney, Eric Church, Darius Rucker, Tracy Atkins, Tim McGraw. You get the idea. He's special. And, of course, C.J., the only Hawkeye quarterback to win his first 9 career starts. What an impressive family.
And that song, Jerry, but that we were hearing right there, written by Casey for Eric Church. Beathard back to throw. Guns it over the middle and complete to Devon Smith.
Well, Beathard has a very live arm. He really does. Of course, the change was made after the bowl game last year, the horrific loss to Tennessee, to go with Beathard instead of Jake Rudock, who'd started 25 of the last 26. Rudock goes to Michigan. Beathard, of course, bothered by that groin for the last month or so, but he has a very live arm, transfers his weight. This is a good-looking quarterback prospect. Daniels
into the ballgame, a tailback out of the eye, just power straight ahead, picks up about 8. You know, going back to Bobby Beathard, CJ's grandfather, it's been a privilege for me to know Bobby Beathard for 40 years, one of the unbelievably talented talent evaluators in this business.
He built the Washington Redskins into one of the best teams in the history of the game, and then he did nearly the same thing in San Diego when that place was downtrodden.
I always told him if I was another general manager and they said it was Bobby Beathard on the phone, I'd never answer it.
What if he was offering you a job?
Then I'd answer it. Straight up the middle, but Zach Shaw stops LaShawn Daniels.
And it's worth mentioning, T.J. Simmons is in there right now for Indiana. Simmons, the middle linebacker who played out of his mind 2 weeks ago.
Didn't he ever?
And Simmons is battling an ankle injury. Nobody knew that he had it against Michigan State. He had 15 tackles, a career high, and he's a little hobbled, not quite 100%, but the ankle issues for Indiana and for Iowa, frankly, continue.
3rd and about 3. Derek Mitchell, number 32, checks in to block for Beathard, who throws underneath, and it's incomplete, intended for Henry Krager Coble, the tight end, who had 18 catches coming in, but Clyde Newton, the linebacker, was all over him and stopped it.
Terrific protection by the offensive line for Iowa. That becomes kind of repetitive. Ball little, good coverage, and Beathard had to put that ball low and away, and I think he just put a little too much steam on it. That would have been a very difficult catch for Coble.
Dylan Kidd, who was 4th in the Big Ten in punting, gets this away for Mitchell Page. Kicks it out of bounds, which is going to take some distance off of it. And Indiana, down by 4, will have the ball when we come back to Memorial Stadium.
At 28-14, the 2 plays before, Sudfeld had hit a streaking Shane Wynn for a touchdown that was dropped. 2 plays later, Indiana sees it, comes crashing down. They had to go with Xander Diamant at quarterback, a guy who wasn't ready to go down the backstretch of the season. And with Tevin Coleman and 2,000-plus yards, they just didn't have the quarterback to get it done. And for Sudfeld, this is a big day for him.
How about the change of direction for Jordan Howard? Bottled up as he tried to go off a right guard. Just turns around and gets 10 going the other way.
Yeah, he looks a lot better. We saw him against Michigan State. He went for 78 on a bad ankle. He was it loosened up as the game went on. Of course, with that ankle injury, he wasn't going to hurt it anymore as he was playing.
Little swing is tipped. I actually think Howard is one of the top 3 running backs in the country. I mean, with Indiana's record, he's not going to get that much coverage, and being hurt, he's not going to get the kind of numbers that would qualify him to be in that atmosphere. Doc, you've seen him play.
Yeah, and I'm being told, Mike, he's as healthy as he's ever been at Indiana here. That Craig Tweedy said they're excited to watch him play. They don't know what he can do. That ankle is held up compared to what it was a few weeks ago.
Picks up almost 4 here.
Well, it's not, for a guy who gets this many carries in the middle of the line of scrimmage, it's not just the ankle that starts to get worn down. It's the whole body. It's the most physical position in the game is the power running back, and to get that ankle healthy, but also the rest of the body during the bye week as they rested, it's a good deal for Kevin Wilson down the stretch, needing to get 2 more wins to get bowl eligible.
3rd, call it 7. Iowa shows 4 men at the line of scrimmage. When they blitz, it's a lot of times it's the zone blitz. Sudfeld to Howard in the flat. They want the big guy to do it on his own. Out there one-on-one, and he drives for a first down. Mike Taylor had a shot at him about 1.5 yards short of the sticks, and that means Howard's going to make it. He's a beast.
That's a terrific call by Kevin John. Set the whole way to be a swing pass to Howard. And that because the ball was thrown behind the line of scrimmage, the receivers coming from the right to the left on Iowa were able to throw blocks downfield. Great design.
Out of the pistol, this time they'll give it to Mike Majette, who had a chance to show his stuff when Howard was on the sideline. And Majette brings some speed to the backfield.
Majette was a guy who was kind of a multi-task guy in high school, played some quarterback, some wide receiver, some defensive back. He was languishing on the depth chart at wide receiver. And when there was the injury to Howard, they started getting him some reps, and he's had a couple of breakout games, specifically against Rutgers.
And you could understand why he'd be buried at wide receiver. They've got some good ones. Sudfeld with plenty of time throws the deep out pass to 50, complete this time to his tight end Michael Cooper, who's been fighting his own ankle injury.
Cooper tried to lean and get that first down. I'm not sure he got the best spot, but good to have Cooper back. If the fans want maybe to review this, that looked to me like Cooper stretched and got the first. And I know it's 3rd and 1, you expect to get it, but if he got the first, you'd want him, watch as he dives. Well, from there, probably a good spot. But with you got Majette still in, not the power back.
Sudfeld, second effort gets him the first down. Sudfeld, 6'6", 240.
And healthy. We saw him get hurt. He got hurt against Wake Forest late, and here goes Indiana going fast. But he tweaked his left ankle against Wake Forest, was gimpy kind of all week in practice, and then against Ohio State got rolled up a couple times, ultimately couldn't finish that game nor play against Penn State the following week. But he's been healthier and healthier than the bye week, we keep talking about it, but this guy can really throw it. And Phil Parker talked about he throws it with the right speed. He's always accurate, a very good quarterback.
Majette stays in at tailback. They show an option look, and Majette will get a couple before the very active middle linebacker Josie Jewell makes the stop. When you play defense the way Iowa does, the down lineman's job is to keep guys off the linebackers and let them make plays.
Well, when you got a guy like Jaleel Johnson at 6'4", 310, playing in the middle, that guy can usually take on 2 guys. And then the question is, can they get push in the pocket? And the answer is yeah, 6 to 7 can during the pass.
Indiana has not gone to light speed in this offense yet, have they?
No, and that's what Kevin Wilson said. We are a fast offense, but we want to eat some clock here against this team.
Majette, look at Jewell. How's that for speed from a middle linebacker?
That's wow.
That's 230 pounds running down a fast back.
Yeah, this guy is absolutely feeling it right now. He's on the backside of that play, too. By the way, he was on the other side of the center from that and ran all the way across it. How about a little misdirection, though? Maybe see if you can't get 43 crossed up, because he's feeling it right now.
3rd and about 8.
Be thinking about it on fourth if you picked up 3 or 4 here.
Sudfeld under pressure, just got rid of it. And Majette paid for it as they dropped it underneath again. That's the second time Sudfeld has put a receiver in a vulnerable position over the middle, and Miles Taylor knocked him down.
And surprised on the plus side of the field here that you're going to see the punt. 4th down on this side of the field. If you kick it into the end zone, you're not gaining a whole lot of field position with the punt. And this is something that Kevin Wilson, we've talked about a bunch with him covering 3 games. Against Ohio State, he was very aggressive on 4th down here, obviously choosing to not be, but this is a place to go for it.
See if Toth kicks the point of the ball instead of trying to kick a spiral. Try to get that reverse spin. Fair catch made just inside the 5-yard line. 37-yard kick, no return, so they pin Iowa deep on an absolutely perfect fall day in the Midwest. Quarterback, NFL Insider, Sunday edition, Sunday NFL Countdown.
So will those kids grow up Broncos fans then?
Split loyalties, perhaps. Or they might move to Denver.
It's a good town.
We have Iowa trying to get out of a hole. And a big hit by Chase Dutra on Akram Wadley. Let's go to Adnan Virk, an update. And Adnan Dalvin Cook, we've seen him. He is just so dynamic. 2nd and 5. Beathard changing the play. Get the 5'11" sophomore behind him. He'll get the ball. Hit before he got back to the line of scrimmage. And stopped by Robert McCray III.
And McCray, a former outside linebacker, moved down to defensive end. Kind of the same thing we've been talking about with the offensive lineman, where you take a taller guy and put a little weight on him. And this guy has added a lot of activity. Yeah, he's 280 now. And they're getting a lot of activity in that middle with McCray in there with that athleticism. It's been a nice change for him his sophomore year.
Gained 40 pounds. He probably had to eat 6 times a day. 3rd and long. Beathard to the shotgun. Blitz coming. They don't get there. And the pass complete over the middle up to the 16-yard line. That'll be enough for a 1st down. Jacob Hilliard making his 10th catch of the season. Good patience by C.J. Beathard.
Sure was. Of course, when you have an offensive line as good as they do here at Iowa, which again has become a repeating theme every time you cover Iowa since Kirk Ferentz became the head coach. Ferentz, of course, a former offensive line coach under Hayden Fry, then went to the NFL for many years as an O-line coach, and that's Austin Blythe there in the middle, soon coming to an NFL city to start for your team after this season.
Beathard hangs in the pocket, throws to Hilliard again, makes the first man miss, out across the 30 for a 1st down. Nice move by Jacob Hilliard, 6'4", 212, gain of 15, and a nice throw by Beathard.
Well, that's Tyler Green, a true freshman out there who got a lot of run last week against Michigan State. Good position, and just gets himself out of position to make the tackle. That's one of those ones where as you get a little older, you can just slow yourself down, and that would have been, and instead of a 1st down, it should have been behind the sticks.
From the 31, Wadley is the tailback as they go in a 3-wide receiver set. Little look at Wadley, and then the throw to Tavon Smith. And Tavon Smith, who gives them some speed on the outside, gets it down to the 45-yard line.
Well, you're not going to want to leave a guy wide open. And I think that C.J. Beathard is reading this, and he sees the corner, Andre Brown, start to creep. And that Brown cannot just dive towards the line of scrimmage like that and leave even though you're in zone and you have a safety behind you, you have to play Smith, who's back from a knee injury. Play him a little better than that.
Great recognition by Beathard. Straight back to throw. Time again, and they're working the middle very successfully, as well as the sideline. Smith again runs a square in, and Beathard found him.
The quarterback play that we have witnessed over the last several weeks has been extraordinary. Beathard we saw Connor Cook, he was unconscious. He literally could not miss. Nate Sudfeld was matching him. We saw Deshaun Watson last week from Clemson, and this guy Beathard looks like he's just running out there and handing it to guys. And that's the new EM50.
I got your assault
that
vehicle
that was the EM50 from the 80s. This is the EM50 for today's military.
That looks a little more serious, doesn't it? Iowa at the 36. Wadley, the tailback. Tight end and a wide receiver to the right. Wadley straight ahead.
I'm watching Austin Blythe, the center for Iowa. A former center at Washington and for a few years in the NFL. This guy is going to be so good. When you learn about his background, he was a heavyweight state champion wrestler 3 times. And if there is anyone who wants to play on the offensive line in college or the NFL, go down the hall and start wrestling during the winter. It is amazing for your hand quickness, your strength, your power, your flexibility. And it's also good during the apocalypse to know how to wrestle.
We could all use that. Fake to Wadley. Beathard has just been on target, hits Hillier again. And Hillier fighting for extra yards inside the 15 to the 13. And Beathard 6 out of 7 for 90 yards so far.
And the thing that they're doing offensively is Beathard has not had to move off of his spot to throw the ball. Great move by Hillier with both hands, put right on the money with the safety over the top, put it back on the body so that the receiver wasn't exposed. But Beathard, with that groin injury, he is hampered. He can't run. They usually do bootlegs. They move the pocket. But now, sitting in the pocket, he looks like a polished pro.
Back to the power eye, Daniels, the tailback. The up man is Adam Cox, the fullback at 234. Daniels picking his way. Still on his feet. Hasn't stopped driving yet, down near the 10. And let's check in with Jerry Punch. Doc?
Yeah, Ed was talking about Austin Blythe, the big senior center, who's the Outland Trophy and Remington Award candidate. He won 3 consecutive heavyweight wrestling titles at Williamsburg High School. And folks, get this, his record was 187-11, 50-1 as a senior. He was High School Wrestler of the Year in the state of Iowa. Now that is impressive.
And when you know the wrestling background of the state, it is such a wonderful sport and so heavily followed. Daniels to the outside, inside the 5, near the 3. Could be a first down depending on the spot.
Boy, this is good news for Iowa fans to start getting Daniels back. This is a guy at just under 225. Lost some weight. He was up to 230 last year, but gives him the power back. Good cutting. You can see his ankle looks healthy. He was the starter at the beginning of the year, so now to get him back as your power back, you've developed Wadley as your kind of scat back and now showing he can hold on to the ball. Once Canzeri gets healthy, this is going to be a pretty good triumvirate.
3rd and very short. Daniels to the outside, walks in. Touchdown, LaShawn Daniels, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season.
You know, everyone, when they talk about Iowa being 8-0 and sitting at number 9 and with a direct track to the Big Ten championship, win that to then the college football playoff, everyone wants to say what they don't have and what they aren't. They have a great offensive line. They have a quarterback that can sit in the pocket. And after studying Beathard, he's the real deal. Everyone wants to keep talking about what Kirk Ferentz doesn't have. We've seen Clemson, we've seen Michigan State, we've seen Ohio State. This team could play and beat all of them.
Well, they just went 95 yards in 11 plays in 6 minutes and 15 seconds. And Indiana barely slowed them down.
Hands to get their big back in Daniels.
Another good kick out of the end zone. They'll start from the 25. We check in with Adnan Burke. Adnan, what do you have? Well, they're tough at home, aren't they?
Emotional morning after, of course, that horrific accident on homecoming a few weeks ago. They had a nice moment of silence before the game.
Indiana starts at the 25. Howard's back in there beside Sudfeld. Sudfeld on the keeper. Drops it and will pick up about 14 yards. Nice little toss to Ricky Jones, who just had an enormous game against Rutgers with 119 yards.
And when Sudfeld had that ankle injury, you couldn't even really call that play. I mean, it's so open. Maybe confidence comes back, and because Indiana is able to get some run game going with this offensive line, that fake draws the entire defense over.
Howard, nice hold. He dragged the tackle with him, Nathan Budgeta.
Dan Feeney, the right guard, Kevin Wilson was saying he may be our best player overall. Watch the 2 blocks he gets on Johnson, and then he comes back and gets just a little bit of fit up on the defensive tackle, but he got great push on Johnson. There was a little stunt in there, and Feeney just gets enough for a big first down run.
Howard goes out in the flat, but Sudfeld isn't looking that way, looking long. Page had it and dropped it. Perfect throw right in his hands, and Mitchell Page couldn't hold on.
Page, who has become such a dynamic player for Indiana. He had 126 receiving yards against Rutgers, just a yard short of 100 against Michigan State. He's running clear across the field, and Sudfeld couldn't have dropped it any better. Yeah, that's a tough one. And lucky that ball was not intercepted, as Miles Taylor, chasing it, nearly gets a hold of it as he goes out of bounds.
And that'll bring up a third down, about 4 yards. They need to reach the 49 to move the sticks. Sudfeld will throw for it, and it's incomplete.
Man, I know this is midfield. You're on the other side, but you don't want to punt if you're Indiana right now. It's starting to feel like Iowa may own this, and I think this is the
well, they thought about it.
Yeah, they did. And, you know, I'm very aggressive about fourth down. I think people don't go for it enough. Fourth and short is keeping the ball right now, I think, would be the way I'd want to go. I get punting it away. You're not out of this game. You can score in bunches, so I understand that. But I just feel like punting this ball to Iowa right now is going to end up 21-3 if you're Indiana.
Well, they don't have to punt if Page makes that catch, of course. Desmond King is back. We'll let it go. And it gets a great bounce for Indiana down near the 7-yard line. 48-yard kick in lieu of a possible fair catch. Back to Indiana, and a whole lot of time left in the regular season. There's still a lot of things to sort out. Beathard, who has been nearly perfect, directed a 95-yard drive last time. This time he would have to go 93 yards for a touchdown, and Wadley is back in the ball game at tailback, and it is a 3-team unbeaten group in the Big Ten. Ohio State, which is now 3rd in the committee rankings, Michigan State 7th, and Iowa right here 9th. Iowa, of course, has the advantage of being in the division where they don't have to play those two guys.
Or Penn State or Michigan this year, so a really good schedule for Iowa. And, you know, there's a lot of people in the Big Ten and the ACC who look at their divisions and scratch their head. How did the Big Ten decide to put Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State in one division, not even think about splitting them up? And I've always been a fan of giving autonomy to these conferences and blowing up the divisions. It was an arcane rule put in by a couple of Division II conferences years ago. But if you blew up divisions, you could have a round robin within your conference, decide your champion how you wanted to, and I think it'd be better for specifically the Big Ten and the ACC to blow that up.
Of course, the argument for Kirk Ferentz is everybody they put in front of us.
And if they win the Big Ten championship against an East opponent, they're in.
Big third down here. Beathard sits in the pocket and had that ball batted down. Knocked down by Zach Shaw. He's the bandit linebacker. Got a hand on it. And they will force Iowa to punt this time.
Well, I'm officially 0 for 1 on my punt away predictions. So a good punt by Indiana on that fourth down. They get to potentially flip the field here a little bit and get the ball back. So
well, you're going to miss some.
I am a person, so therefore imperfect.
They'll be kicking this into the wind. Marshall Cone, or excuse me, Dylan Kidd. Across the 45 down to the 44. So far, huge game for Iowa's middle linebacker, Josie Jewell. He shows you not only power, but great speed.
Really good job just making the blocker whiff. Good balance on his feet. And here, a toss sweep to the other side, and Jewell read it the whole way. He's lined up clear, almost on the other offensive tackle, and runs through, and he's having a nice day. This, you think about hurry up and spread. You think they throw it a lot, but Indiana is dedicated to the run.
Tremendous defensive number for Iowa. You look at who they've played, and you wondered if those are legitimate. They're trying to prove it against a great Indiana defense today. Sudfeld against a four-man rush. And got rid of it.
He's trying to work with Simi Cobbs over there to have him break back towards the middle. Sudfeld looks better. You know, a few weeks ago when we were here out at practice after that Wake Forest game, he was just really hobbling around on that ankle. And retweaked it again against Ohio State. But, that time showing he's almost looks fast getting out there. He was really hobbled with that left foot.
Compared to what he was, he does. Certainly fast enough. Howard goes into the flat. They don't look that way. They throw underneath, little flanker screen. It's Ricky Jones and a big play. Beautifully designed play, and Jacob Bailey downfield to throw a big block gain of 19 yards. Because the ball is thrown just behind the line of scrimmage, or right at the line of scrimmage, I could say, Bailey is able to block downfield. That was awfully close. That ball has to be behind for him to be out there if he's more than 3 yards. But he looked like he was maybe right on that 3 yards as well. So good no call. Howard with a sweep, turns it outside, turns the corner. Howard still on his feet. Touchdown. They pulled Feeney and Bailey. And somehow one of the defenders got turned around on the edge, and Howard went right by him, and it was over. He has terrific balance. We saw earlier in the year he just is able to run through those arm tackles, stays in bounds. Iowa had a chance to get him out of bounds, but both guards, Bailey and Feeney, pulled on that one, and it was a terrific read on the block of Bailey. Howard set the guy up inside, bounced it outside, and took it to the house. One of the best run defenses in the country, and Howard has hit them for 79 yards on 7 carries. Can't say enough good things about this kid. He is tough. Jordan Howard pulling Indiana within 4 with a big touchdown run second quarter. It is unbelievable, the factory that people talk about Wisconsin and the factory it is. Wisconsin currently has 7 offensive linemen in the NFL. For Iowa, in the last 13 drafts, they've had 14 offensive linemen selected. And oh, by the way, first rounders in 8 starters on the offensive line for 8 straight years went in the first round for Iowa. It's unbelievable. Remarkable. Daniels, the tailback, in the eye, tries right tackle, bounces it outside. Dutra drags him down. Nice block by the fullback Adam Cox. Well, and if tradition holds as it has for Iowa, the offensive line's going to be pretty good. Well, guess what? With a dinged-up quarterback, Beathard, of course, with that groin injury, not able to move, they're able to get a great pocket built for him, terrific run lanes. And there are 3, if not 4, offensive linemen in this group that I think will be going off to the NFL. Boone Myers at left tackle, Sean Welsh, the left guard, very good, and of course Blythe, we've been talking about at center. Fake to Daniels. Beathard with all day to throw and gets it to Vandenberg, his possession receiver, makes his 45th catch of the year. There is a marker down. And it's back near where Beathard was.
Holding. Offense. Number 38. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's the senior fullback Adam Cox called for the hold.
He was the guy who blew the play up on the last run. Had a good block. 38 going down. He pulls the guy with him. Yeah, as you're falling, if you've got a hold of that jersey, he's pulling on Marcus Oliver. If you let it go, they won't call it. But that was a good call there. He's certainly pulling on that jersey to help Oliver go to the ground with him.
So that makes it 1st and 20. Wipes out a good game, puts them all the way back to the 27-yard line. 3-man rush. And not much of a gain out to the 30. Vandenberg again.
Vandenberg, coming into the game, he was a leading receiver with 44 catches. The next best was 18 catches by the tight end Krager Coble. So Brian Knorr, the defense coordinator for Indiana, we probably should know where 89 is when they break the huddle. They seem to look at him a lot.
He came in 5th in the conference in catches. Beathard wants to set up the screen. Beautifully diagnosed by the Indiana defense. Did you see a couple of the defensive linemen? They were so free, they both froze in their tracks like, this is not possible.
Yeah. If you're not being blocked, stop and look around. But this is Chase Dutra, a guy who was dealing with a infection earlier in the season. It's a very young secondary, no juniors or seniors. And now the crowd's starting to feel a little bit, and Indiana getting some momentum back.
And this is 3rd and a mile. 4-man rush. Beathard. Vandenberg made the catch again. He's got the first down, but there's another marker down back near the quarterback.
Holding. Offense. Number 52. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's Boone Myers, their sophomore left tackle. Wipes out a 24-yard gain and a first down.
And that is 2 long catches by Vandenberg, wiped out by holding calls. There's a left tackle right there. That right hand, yep, he's starting to stop the progress of the rusher, Nick Mangieri, who's turned into a terror off the edge. So another good call. Doesn't look like much until the guy goes to make his move. But for Vandenberg, he's got to go back to his lineman and the fullback and say, guys, you're killing a big day for me here.
You're going to have to run about 5 seconds to get a 3rd down, or a first down. It's 3rd and 28.
Don't want to get a penalty here for delay of game, and they are. Wow. Hello, wound. Here's some salt.
Turn to your playbook and find the page marked 3rd and 33. It's blank. Let's check in with Adnan Vert. Adnan, thanks very much. One big game after another coming down the stretch here.
That's what I think the playoff has done for this game. Almost every game is relevant because there's a conversation of who beat whom, and when you lay out the schedules and you see how people came down the stretch, and after going through a couple weeks ago, we went through a mock selection committee process. It really is about who did you beat, when did you beat them, what team were you healthy. It really has done wonders for the game, and I think the interest in the game is at an all-time high.
There's certain things I do not want to see. One, if Memphis wins out and goes undefeated and there's a 2-loss SEC champion and it was a team that Memphis beat and Memphis gets shut out, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that would be
there's
bad.
some built-in unfairness here, I think.
Let's let Memphis win out first, though, right?
Absolutely. That part's up to them. 3rd and a mile. Beathard. Pressure from behind. Trying to run for it. We'll get out of bounds at the 30. They'll have to punt it away. Good job by Indiana. They held again.
And for Beathard, this is a tough one. He's got a strained groin that he mostly rests all week. And here he gets out in the open. And he just doesn't want to turn it on because it gets healthy, then he goes in the game and he restrains it. They've told us that it will not get better with rest, even if they have a few weeks off before the bowl game or the playoff for the offseason. So that time he had to tool it down a little bit. Doesn't want to tweak it right now.
Mitchell Page broke away from the first 2 tacklers out of it after a 43-yard punt. Time to look at those college football playoff rankings. They're brought to you by Allstate.
Well, as I mentioned, we have seen Clemson twice. We've seen Ohio State.
He will kick it again.
And as Iowa goes down the road, Jordan Canzeri, who was cleared to play today, but they decided to hold him because they felt like maybe they had rushed LaShawn Daniels back a bit early, so they wanted him to heal up more properly. He'll start to be available.
Fair catch off the punt from Dylan Kidd to Page is 34 yards, no return. Now for today's Aflac trivia question. Kirk Ferentz has the second most bowl wins in Big Ten history with 6. Who has the most? Now that's a very interesting question. A couple of people immediately come to mind.
I would have said Joe Paterno, but Penn State didn't join the Big Ten until '92.
Correct.
So they wouldn't have counted all of those before.
I would throw out Woody and Bo just for chuckles.
They always give you a good laugh.
Yeah. Redding up the middle. I mean, just as a starting point, I think you'd want to look at those 2 guys.
Yeah, unbelievable, though, that Kirk Ferentz has been here since 1999, took over a program that was really struggling.
And there is some unrest there, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, tough year last year, and everyone said that maybe he was overpaid after a good season in 2009, but this is a good-looking team.
Sudfeld, too high, had Ricky Jones out there, was trying to drop it over a defender and got it just a little too high.
Sudfeld, he wants that ball back. That's a throw this guy normally makes. Ankle, maybe still a little bothered, but that's a throw Sudfeld normally makes.
7 out of 14 for 63. Below the total you would expect of him, and he's hit only one of his last 5. Iowa brings 4. Sudfeld hangs in the pocket, throws. Jones, this will be an interesting mark.
Oh. Right on the mark.
I think he may have fooled the referee. That was a friendly spot.
Good throw by Sudfeld, and as Jones comes off, that is a healthy spot. Looks like he's about half a yard behind. The ball is in his left arm. It's the trailing official who comes up, and they're going to look at this from replay. One of the things they can do is
it's really hard to tell, isn't it? I mean, this all happened so quickly. They will take a look. We'll let you know what happens when we come back. Little tease. Iowa by 4, 4:44 left in the first half, and this call of a first down was challenged. What do we see, Ed?
Well, it looks like Jones may have been just about a half a yard behind, but there's no way that the officials upstairs are going to overturn the call on the field when it's got to be indisputable, and though it looked like it was behind the sticks, not indisputable. Would have been an interesting 4th and a foot, though, wouldn't it have?
Sure would have. And a good break for Indiana as they have a first down. Howard is back in at tailback. They've gone away from him a little bit. Now they give it back to him, trying to get that corner again. Howard out to the 48. He just always makes something happen when he has the football.
Well, and this offensive line is really good.
It was Cole Fisher who made that stop, the Hawkeyes' #1 tackler. Sudfeld with time. Rifles it to Page inside the Iowa 30. Mitchell Page, the former walk-on, who's only 5'7", 176, but a scratch golfer who hit it 330 yards.
He's one of those guys who can beat you at everything. He can beat you at golf, basketball.
Howard! Touchdown, Indiana! You tell me he's not a great back. I think he is. I think he's one of the best 3 in the country.
Well, this is a defense that had given up 1 rushing touchdown all season long, the lowest in college football. And this was what Kevin Wilson knew. If they could run the ball, because Iowa has the ability to eat so much clock, if they could run it, they knew they would have a chance. And, of course, Howard now healthy. Kind of nice for them after losing Tevin Coleman last year. To have a guy like that just show up in your roster is a pretty good deal.
Howard by himself has gained 116 yards. Iowa came in here averaging only 85 yards allowed on the ground. And then thanks very much. And an update on Howard, as Ed told you, Iowa had given up 1 rushing touchdown all year. Howard has 2 in this half. Desmond King on the return has a lot of room if he can get to the outside. King trying to cut it back. He's the 35-yard line. Nearly broke that one.
Jordan Howard, of course, transferred from UAB, had over 1,500 yards last year. University of Alabama Birmingham deciding to temporarily shut down their football program, allowing for Howard to transfer. And guess what other school wanted Howard's services? The Iowa Hawkeyes. Notre Dame came after this young man, and the reason that he came to Indiana was, I mentioned Tevin Coleman graduated. Coleman just torched Iowa last year, had 219 yards on just 15 carries. And so they thought they were out of the woods when Coleman graduated. No, we've got this transfer now, and he's put over 100 on you in the first half.
Indiana has a top-flight offense when Sudfeld and Howard are healthy, and they've got that terrific offensive line. They can score on anybody. They have proven it all year long. And now the defense has to be inspired just ever so slightly, at least, by what the offense is doing.
And if you're Kevin Wilson, you start thinking about, well, wait a minute now. We've got the roll here. It looked like as Iowa got their offense rolling that it may be a little one-sided there for a while. And Indiana took those punches, came right back and answered. And now if they can get Iowa to give them the ball back, they may have some time.
Beathard with time over the middle and dropped. Perfect throw by Beathard to midfield. And Tavon Smith is down. He took a shot as he dropped the ball and then hit the ground hard.
Yeah, and a flag just came in late, and I think T.J. Simmons may be ejected here for targeting. This is a defenseless player. As he's going down, yeah, this is going to be targeting.
He may have hit him in the shoulder pad first. Take a look.
No.
Nope.
And the rule is targeting of a defenseless player. The head is down, so they could maybe get him for crown of the helmet, but this is forcible contact to the head or neck area, and unfortunately for Tavon Smith, he is still down.
Defense. Targeting number 2. Plays under further review.
And we'll take a look at the rules so that we're very clear about what we're talking about here. Targeting of a defenseless opponent, which clearly Smith was, with forcible contact to the head or neck area, which there clearly was. So
with any part of your body.
Correct. The other one is if you hit with the crown of your helmet to anywhere on the body. But this one, clearly by Simmons, this is a definition targeting. This is the type of hit that this rule is trying to get out of the game. It is so dangerous to come in this low with that much force to the head of someone who is defenseless. Smith, unfortunately, still down on the field, and I think this is the right call.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Targeting by number 2, Indiana. Players disqualified.
So Simmons, who had that huge game against Michigan State with 15 tackles and 2.5 sacks, and has been a warrior because after he got hurt, they put him in a boot and then actually in a cast earlier this week on a foot injury. He's been able to come back, but now he's gone. This will not affect next week, by the way. He's out for this half and the second half of this game.
And this is why the rule is in here. You know, Tavon Smith is still on the field. And we have to get these young men to realize as they're going and turning, defensive coaches have talked about how when you're going to a receiver, how you have to keep your chest up, your eyes up, don't lower your head. It's a hard thing for a young player to do, keep his head out. But that's why the rule is in, is because unfortunately we see guys like Smith take hits like that. And with the focus on health and concussions, that's why the rule is in. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the number of targeting calls go down this year over last year. That's something you would hope you would see, but I think there needs to be some more changes for these defensive players, and let's just hope for the best for Smith.
And Smith will go to the sideline. Simmons will go to the locker room, and a big hole in the middle of that Indiana defense. Beathard with protection again down the middle and incomplete. Jerminic Smith had the ball.
And Smith, yeah, unrelated to Tavon Smith, but he is in there because of Smith. He never looked back. He's wide open. He got turned loose by the corner, Brown, and the safety was late getting over there. And a true freshman, Jerminic Smith, just didn't turn around, didn't find it. Terrific throw by Beathard, but that's a young guy coming in to spell the older Tavon Smith, just missing the ball.
Jerminic Smith had only 5 catches coming into this game, but he averaged almost 27 yards a catch. Wadley off the left side.
What a cut.
Hillier threw him a nice block on the outside, but Akram Wadley gets a huge gain.
And what an awesome job by George Kittle, but that bounce right out there, he totally set up the safety, Tony Fields, by going towards the middle. He knew he had the receiver blocking on the outside. Great vision, great setup by Wadley.
9 carries, 97 yards for Wadley. And Iowa quickly into scoring territory. They've reached the Iowa 30. Beathard play action fake. Throws to his tight end, Kittle.
Well, Kittle was the guy who threw the great block on that long run by Wadley. He was a high school wide receiver, so he moves really well. That time, almost like a fullback, just kind of went out in the flat and turned around. Gets a good block, and then you feed the guy. It's a good job by Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, keeping a guy like that happy.
Beathard has a terrific presence, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons they chose him. He's a good leader. He's a very bright guy.
Daniels makes the first man miss, little hesitation move, and has enough for the first down inside the 20.
Talk about the differences in the two offenses we're watching, right? Indiana's got everybody spread out, shotgun, Sudfeld's throwing it everywhere. They still have a power inside run game.
And this is old school.
Yeah, Kevin Wilson, a former offensive lineman at North Carolina, and that's what he came up coaching for the most part. So he's used to seeing this. They have that. But this, for Iowa, 2 tight end, 1 back now. This is old school.
Daniels only picked up about 2.
But, you know, Mike, it's a little unfair, and I think what happens sometimes with places like Iowa is people on the outside say, oh, they're old school on offense. But the truth is, Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, of course, won a national championship coordinating the offense at Texas. they have a lot of offense. They can spread it out.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Beathard, when he could run, they had some quarterback run in there. But when they go back to the basics, it certainly will look like what Kirk Ferentz was coaching when he was coaching for the Browns, the Cleveland Browns.
The new tailback is Mitchell. Beathard, good protection, 4-man rush for the end zone, incomplete. Well, it looked like he had Vandenberg.
I think, if Beathard goes back when they're looking at this on film, I think he might just be a touch late. He threw it right when he saw it, but, the ball sailed on him. That ball had just a tiny wobble on it, and I'm not so sure the point didn't get turned over and start dropping down. That ball floated on Beathard. He did throw it on time.
Huge 3rd and 9 here. Indiana's defense would consider it a win if they could force a field goal try. And timeout for the Hoosiers on 3rd and 9. Let's give you the answer to our Aflac trivia question.
Kirk, you're going to burn him with the next first down. So Kevin Wilson's been stuck in a spot where I'm sure he'd wanted to call that timeout to get his defense reset on a big 3rd down, but I'm sure they would have liked to have maybe saved some clock to their offense, but because Iowa can run the ball and get chunk yards, you're not able to do it.
First time in this drive, Iowa has faced 3rd down. A little bit of pressure coming. Beathard hesitates, resets, and completes to Hillier, and it will be 1st and goal, Hawkeyes.
Terrific catch by Hillier. 6'4", long arms. He does an awesome job there. Some traffic there, so he starts slowing his body down and getting it under control. This was the 3rd read for Beathard. Wonderful job by Hillier, tall guy. But Beathard had Kittle, the tight end, running down the seam. He came off of that to that side and found Hillier. C.J. Beathard, what does he miss? 2 throws that we've seen? Maybe
yes.
He's just been, and he's a guy in Beathard who, not that he can't be a pocket passer. He clearly has the arm, clearly has the presence to sit in the pocket. But here's a guy athletically that you can move and get him out of the way, but not with that injury. So now he just has to sit in the pocket and do his best Peyton Manning impersonation.
Which, just by itself, just the fact that he knows he has a growing pull and can't take off if he wants to, it just makes it harder.
Yeah. He said it's been really frustrating because he was a guy who always had a little athleticism, a very good runner. And that's where, you'd want that right here. 1st and goal is a great time to call quarterback runs.
Only 27 seconds left in the half. Beathard has it batted down. Looked like Mangieri got a hand on it. Or was it Zach Shaw? Zach Shaw, 33.
Shaw, yeah. And this is where Matt Vandenberg, the player that Brian Knorr brought up, well, good job by Shaw reading the eyes of the quarterback and coming back inside, working on the left tackle there. But this is where, if you're Indiana, you need to know where Vandenberg. He's over to the right in the slot. And this is the guy that they love to look to. This feels like a throwdown.
Beathard, quarterback draw. Still on his feet, dives. Touchdown. What a play by C.J. Beathard.
Boy, he's gingerly walking. Boy, look at him dragging that right leg as he's walking. They called it. It's a, I mentioned it's something you'd want to have here, but let's see if that ball, boy, I don't think he scored. Now, this has to be indisputable video evidence that that ball did not cross the goal line, and you can't tell. I think he missed by an inch or maybe 2 inches, but because it is not indisputable, and you can see how he lands so awkwardly, and as he was walking off, he did not look good.
Came down very, very hard. Remember, only the slightest portion of the football has to touch the goal line for it to be a touchdown. And as you said, Ed, couldn't be more than an inch difference either way, and that means you can't turn it over.
I mean, that is just right, and that's Marcus Oliver, who is a forced fumble machine. He's got 4 forced fumbles already on the year, knocking that ball out. But again, it's got to be indisputable. I think the ball did not cross the plane, but that's not what's going to hold up here. And the way Beathard got up, and you could see where he landed, remember it's a groin injury. Yeah, from there, again, not indisputable video evidence. There the ball comes out. But watch as he lands and that whole body twists.
Yeah, and his head hit as well.
Yeah, it sure did. That's dangerous.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Stands means they couldn't overturn it if they wanted to.
But you wonder the cost to Beathard for the rest of the game. They're going to go in now at halftime. He's going to have to stay loose, but he really got up. When he landed on his head, his hips twisted. When he got up, he was really dragging that left leg, the groin that's injured on that side. And let's see if it gets a little tight. And I
his
think
backup is Tyler Wiegers, number 8. You saw him talking to Beathard.
And I think the coach is saying, don't do that. You don't need to go jump over and be Superman. If he goes down at the 1, come back and play another day. This is, if you're Kirk Ferentz, you're saying, no, don't do this.
Superman may have landed on a chunk of kryptonite. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's.
"17 seconds to go in the half, and C.J. Beathard just done an incredible high jump to score against Indiana. And the Hoosiers with a big kickoff return out to about the 40. Damon Graham.
Well, you know what's interesting about 9 seconds and being at the 40-yard line? If you complete one for 10 or 12 yards, then you can get a throw into the end zone. I'm not, if I'm Kevin, I'd be dialing something up here. I'm not taking a knee here because we got a good spot. I'm not sure Sudfeld would get it. He's got a good arm. He might be able to get it to the end zone from here, but you do have time to potentially run something near the sideline to get a little closer.
Well, complete the deep out for 25, and you got a field goal kicker who can make it from there.
Yeah, he's got a big leg. Good point.
Sudfeld instead will throw underneath. And they'll get it to about the 50 with 2 seconds to go on the first half clock.
Well, Griffin Oaks, they feel like he can kick from 65.
This would be 68.
Yeah, and the wind is, from what I can tell, it looks maybe towards his back. So left to right.
It's funny, the wind swirls down here. One goalpost showing it in his face, the other one showing at his back. And but what he's kicking to shows at his back.
But Oaks not even warming up. I think the fear here would be you kick a long one if it gets blocked in return. We've seen enough of that in college football. Yeah, you're going to punch that ball a little bit lower. You don't want, with a good defensive front by Iowa, to get a block. So
that's the goalpost he is kicking to, so it's with him. But 68 is a lot to ask.
Well, especially because the block factor. If it were the end of the game and you had to have 3, of course, you'd go out and do it. But end of the half in a competitive game, you don't want to get one blocked from this distance. So now you'll see if you can use the wind at Sudfeld's back to get one down into the end zone.
So barring a penalty, this will be the last play of the half. 3-man rush. Sudfeld trying to set his feet and will load up. And incomplete.
He's like a javelin thrower who couldn't find a runway.
That ends a very entertaining first half with Iowa holding a 21-17 lead over Indiana. Now we send you to Adnan Virk for the Lexus halftime report.
Coach, you guys running the ball effectively on one of the best rushing defenses in the country. What do you like most out of your offense in the first half?
We needed the balance. Passing game's been okay, but they're a great team. They scored again. I think that's now 8 or 9 times they scored on a 2-minute drive, so they took the lead back. We got to keep playing. We've been okay in the third quarter. We hadn't closed them out, so we're going to fight our darndest to make this a 4-quarter game.
How does the loss of T.J. Simmons impact your defense here in the second half?
Well, he's an emotional guy, and again, I thought that was a good call. Didn't like just a football play, but he got high. I don't think it was by intent, so I don't disagree with the call. But we're lucky with Scales and Oliver and some guys. We'll rally up. We'll be fine.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Locker room, but I'm sure they did everything they could. Indiana will get the ball to start the half. Dunn will bring it back out of the end zone. Crosses the 20 to about the 22 moments ago. Doc and Kirk Ferentz.
Coach, we know C.J. Beathard wasn't 100% coming in. We saw him make that sensational play. He jumped in the end zone, got up, grimacing and limping. What's his status?
Yeah, he's going to play. It was a heck of a drive by the offense. Great response. And, C.J.'s playing his heart out. He does every week. So, as far as I know, he's going.
Your stingy defense gave up 17 points in the first half. What are you concerned?
Well, the tempo affected us and certainly affected us in the run game. So we've got to shut the run down better this half or we're going to be in trouble.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Jerry.
Sudfeld comes out on first down, throws to Page, and Page was covered beautifully. Middle linebacker Josie Jewell was right there.
Josie's been playing his heart out, hasn't he? He's had a bunch of great tackles at the beginning of the game. And there's a 0 yardage first down. We didn't see that much from Indiana in the first half. They were able to get 3, 4, 5 yards per first down.
Howard had a monster first half. He gets the call here on second down. Swallowed up immediately by Jaleel Johnson, the big left tackle. And after 2 plays, we have a huge third down for this Indiana offense and a lot of substitutions for Iowa.
Bringing in their speed rushers, getting the 310-pound Johnson off, although he can be a good rusher.
Three-man rush. Now they bring 2 linebackers late, and Sudfeld throws underneath, and has it complete to Anthony Carsaro, his tight end. Very athletic big kid at 250 who can run.
And that ball was on the money, thrown with speed as Carsaro made the outcut. Terrific throw, excellent third down conversion.
Howard, they like the left side, but this time didn't have a chance. Guess who's on the bottom of the pile? Jewell again. And over the top came Nate Meyer, who's been nursing a shoulder injury the last week. And gotta love middle linebackers in a 4-3. They ask him to do so many things. One of the few times they've been able to hit Howard for negative territory. Play action to Howard. Sudfeld on a roll under pressure. Carsaro can't hold on, and he was wide open. The man that was covering him dropped off to go after Sudfeld.
Yeah, Nate Meyer, who had a little shoulder injury at the end of the Maryland game for Iowa, able to play today. But as both he and the linebacker Jewell are chasing, Meyer came off and Carsaro just dropped it.
Would have been a tough catch, had to spin around 360. Tough to ask tight ends to do that. Third down again. Blitz coming. Sudfeld steps up, now under pressure, and down he goes. Jewell led the charge. He is just having a monster start to the second half.
What a terrific job by Phil Parker, the defense coordinator. On the last 3rd and long, they brought this same defense where they had 3 down, and they only brought the 3. That time they brought both linebackers, so they're rushing 5 instead of 3. So a nice changeup by Parker, not letting Sudfeld stand in there and find somebody open.
Toth will have to come on to punt. Big pressure from Iowa. They don't get there, though. And the kick to King. Tonight, catch another Big Ten game on ABC. Saturday Night Football presented by Walmart as number 3 Ohio State has Minnesota in the shoe at 8 o'clock Eastern, as well as streaming live on Watch ESPN. Minnesota went down to the last play a week ago before losing. Now for tonight's primetime spotlight, brought to you by the U.S. Navy and its Ohio State's Cardale Jones.
Yeah, and it's been just a soap opera at quarterback. Cardale Jones, who of course started the last 3 games during the playoff run and the national championship last year, had mighty struggles. We saw him struggling and then was replaced by JT Barrett, who then was arrested in suspicion of DUI, and he's suspended for tonight's game. So the drama continues for the Buckeyes.
Wadley able to turn the corner. He's got enough for a first down to move the chains on first play on offense for Iowa in the second half.
What depth now for Kirk Ferentz. You were talking about some of the uproar over last year's season, and you go back to 2013, they were down to third, fourth, fifth string running backs. They had to move fullback over to tailback, but now starting to feel some depth in Wadley, third, fourth string tailback coming into the season.
He has 108 yards in this game on only 10 carries. Adding to that total, takes it across the 40 to the 41. Gain of about 8 yards for the 185-pound sophomore Mangieri. Finally got the tackle.
Mangieri, a guy who got himself up to 280 for his senior year. He played kind of an outside linebacker, more position than a defensive end. He played defensive end early in his career. He's having a nice senior year.
His uncle played at Northwestern, a linebacker, and 5 years in the NFL, so he's got the bloodline. Beathard right now at quarterback, moving around okay.
I've had when I was in college, I had a groin injury that would not go away. Of course, I played on the offensive line, so it was different movement. You didn't have to move as much as Beathard would out in space. But it's one of those things that when you hurt it again, you just have to keep going. The pain's gonna go away. And Beathard has said if the pain ever got to a place where he couldn't function, he would take himself out of the game. So clearly not the case after the end of the half hit.
Daniels, the tailback, and Beathard wants to throw. Pressure coming. CJ sprinting toward the sideline. Ball came loose, but I think he was down. And for more on that injury, let's check in with Jerry Punch. Doc?
Yeah, it's been described as an adductor injury. The adductors are the groin muscles. There's 5 of them on the inside of the thigh, which helps pull the leg toward the midline. You use those muscles when you change direction. The worst thing you can do for an adductor strain is try to jump, which is what he did in the end zone at the end of the first half. So that's probably why he grimaced the most. All they could do is ice it. My guess is it's probably a 3rd degree, probably requires surgery when the year is over.
Yikes. Hand off to Daniels, trying to get to the sticks. Looks like he's there near the 45.
Well, Daniels in because Wadley on his last carry came off a little wobbly and now over there talking to a medical staff personnel for Iowa. So
they're already missing the man who started the season, Canzeri.
Nice to have Daniels back because he was a guy who started a couple games and missed them, but looks like they're working on the left leg potentially of Wadley. But that's a guy over 100 yards today already.
And Iowa is a team with 186 so far before that play, the run by Derek Mitchell, who normally has served as a 3rd down back. Kirk Ferentz, 3-time Big Ten Coach of the Year during his exceptional career in Iowa.
Hop it on that left leg for Wadley. Let's see if he's okay. Seems to be moving okay.
Beathard fell down on a hand up, messed up the timing, and they got Mitchell in the backfield.
Offensive lineman, I bet you it's the right guard. That's my guess when he takes his step. Oh, no, it's the center Blythe as he takes where you have to take a drop step to gain position on the defensive lineman. And that happens quite frequently for quarterbacks that are under center. You have to narrow your base if you're the quarterback to make sure it doesn't happen.
That makes it 2nd and 12 from the 45. Beathard with time goes out in the flat and got his tailback Mitchell.
Mentioned that Mitchell was a wide receiver. He moved over when Canzeri and Daniels went down. And it's an interesting 3rd and short. Because of some inconsistencies in the kick game for Iowa, it's somewhere where Kirk Ferentz said this part of the field were a little more aggressive on 4th down. So if you're going to go for it here, this might be a down where you give Beathard a chance to uncork one.
Daniels comes in at tailback. The line to gain is the 33. Run for it and get it. trusting in that big offensive line.
Well, and I also think if you uncork one and score a touchdown, you're not eating clock. And the way Indiana has been playing on offense and the way they are on offense, this is a pretty good deal for the guys in white. You start grinding this game, get yourself a score here. Not that Indiana's going away. We know this is a very game bunch under Kevin Wilson, but it's a good drive.
Daniels returns at tailback. And he'll get the carry. He's trying to work Indiana down. You notice outside of the one play where Beathard was stepped on, no penetration by the defensive line or even the linebackers if they're bringing those guys.
Well, the guy who coaches the offensive line is another Ferentz, Brian Ferentz, who was one of 3 Ferentz brothers to play for their dad at Iowa, the only coach ever to coach his 3 sons. Stephen, the youngest, is backup offensive lineman, but Brian now coordinates the run game, works side by side with Greg Davis and laying that plan out, and is a terrific line coach.
Straight up the middle again, near the 26-yard line.
Well, for Kirk Ferentz, having his son Brian coach the offensive line, who played here, and now his son Stephen, who is a backup, and the other Ferentz, James, well, he's playing in the NFL as an offensive lineman for the Broncos. So if there is offensive line royalty, you're looking at it. The Ferentz family of Iowa City, Iowa.
And the crown is shaped like a helmet. Blitz coming. They get to Beathard, has to throw off his back foot, incomplete. And heck of a job by Andre Brown out there in man-to-man coverage, a little pushing and shoving as he was covering Tavon Smith.
And that's good to see Smith back. Remember, he was the guy who was down after the hit to T.J. Simmons. Obviously, Iowa cleared him and to be able to come back and play. But, boy, that's really good coverage there by Brown, a true freshman. This is such a young group. You got to be careful there. But now on 4th down, because of the inconsistencies in the kicking game, Iowa deciding to go for it. This feels like something you'd want in the hands of Beathard. He's been awfully good today. Should have plenty of time in the pocket if Indiana doesn't blitz.
Marshall Kane had missed 3 of 14. Beathard with time, batted down at the line, incomplete, and Indiana holds. And it was a Darius Rayner, number 99, stretched out that 6'2" frame to get a piece. Beathard eyeing his receiver. Rayner, who was double teamed, knew he couldn't get there, jumped up and blocked it.
Today.
And Jerry, they're within 4. 6:43 to go, 3rd quarter after a defensive stand, and they haven't been able to say that too many times this year. Sudfeld after the good play fake to Howard, throws incomplete. There's another ball that could have easily been caught in and out of the hands of Ricky Jones. And if you're going to upset an undefeated team, you've got to make plays. You can't drop balls.
Ricky Jones runs a nice route, good coverage. Ball got on him pretty quickly, but yeah, that's got to be a catch. Corsaro had a drop on the drive before, and that's a 1st and 10 with no yardage.
Now give it to Howard on 2nd down. Howard breaks the first tackle, but cannot get out of the hold of Cole Fisher, number 36. Picks up about 5. I'm a little surprised here in the second half they've not given the ball to Howard on 1st down and let him try to establish something.
Well, with Sudfeld's accuracy, 1st down's a down. You can trick, you can go one or the other, but you certainly don't want 0 yards on 1st down.
3rd and 5. Blitz coming. They pick it up. Sudfeld with time. Page beautifully covered back there by the linebacker Ben Neiman, number 44. They ask a lot of those linebackers, and they've delivered it.
That was really nice job by Neiman. He read Sudfeld's eyes the whole time, and Sudfeld, you can see him smiling a little bit. He really tried to stick this ball in there. Terrific arm, really good accuracy. And another ball that hits the receiver on the hands. I know 44 was there, but that ball was pretty on target by Sudfeld.
Toth to punt to King. King, with nobody around him, makes the fair catch. 37-yard kick, no return. Iowa up by 4. They'll have the ball when we come back to Bloomington. You mean you could put me there and that would work?
You would look tan and relaxed.
Iowa takes over at its own 30. Beathard unloads, overthrown by a step and a half for Tavon Smith. He was out there.
And Smith is their burner. He's the guy who can run by. And this ball by Beathard, you could see when he released it, and Smith looked like he maybe just slowed there for a second. A great separation. But ball just overthrown just a touch.
Well, you know, it's one of those. Brown beaten.
Yeah, he sure did. And quarterbacks, as you get a little older, you realize, an underthrow sometimes a better throw. If you overthrow it, it's almost always incomplete. But if you underthrow it a little bit, you may get the PI even if you don't get the completion.
Beathard, short set, throws to the outside. Hit Jermanique Smith in the hands, and he makes the catch.
This is a big series here for Indiana defensively. They were in for 13 plays the last time they were out there. Of course, they got the 4th down stop, but then Indiana went out. There's Brian Knorr, the defensive coordinator, 2 years after coming from Wake Forest. But it's a little worried is the offense went out, only had 35 seconds of possession time, and put his guys right back out on the field.
Power formation here on 3rd and short. Daniels hit him once in the backfield, hit him again, and stopped him shy of the 1st down. This is the best we've seen this Indiana defense play, certainly in the second half.
Well, Brian Knorr knew this was a rundown, and he called a blitz into the side that he thought. Called 66 blitzes 2 weeks ago against the Michigan State offensive line that is struggling. And here, Kirk Ferentz deciding not to go for it.
That's the thing about Indiana's offense, Ed. When they line up, you know what's coming. They know you know, and it doesn't make any difference. It's man on man.
And this feels like a place if you're Iowa, you could be going for it and trying to keep the ball. I mean, that was 4th and call it half a yard.
Takes a nice Iowa bounce down at just outside the 10-yard line. A 50-yard kick. So the Iowa defense will take the field against that big-time Indiana offense.
For Indiana fans, it's awfully good to have Jordan Howard back. The transfer from UAB has looked fully healthy after that left ankle injury he suffered a few weeks ago against Ohio State. In and out of the backfield, he has been so consistent, excellent running. Good job that time bouncing in and bouncing outside with good balance to take it to the house. And you mentioned, Mike, on the last drive that they didn't run Howard on 1st down, Indiana, and they got 0 yards and then had to punt. Let's see if they run him here on 1st.
Have to start at their own 10. Howard gets the carry.
Are you happy now, man?
I'm thrilled. Got between 3 and 4. I'd give it to him on 2nd and 3rd down, too.
The 1st down is, that's one of those downs where you have to keep it fresh. You have to give at least the defense the idea that you may throw it. But it's always nice to pick up. That's 4 yards there. It looked like it was going to be 2.
That's why he's so good. Sudfeld with time, throws to Howard out of the backfield. He makes the catch just shy of a 1st down.
Boy, that was an awfully good spot.
Wow. That was a great spot for Indiana.
And there are enough Iowa fans here. It's about 300 miles from Iowa City to here.
Oh, geez.
And they're booing because that was about a yard more on the spot.
Oh, absolutely. That
Howard
wasn't even
caught.
close.
Yeah, so instead of a 3rd down, now 1st and 10.
And I'm amazed nobody's asking to look at this either from upstairs or from the Iowa sideline.
Problem is Iowa would have to take a timeout to challenge it. You can lose that.
Howard.
Well, this was on 2nd down. Howard had made a nice run to make it 2nd and 6. Now he was moving backward. He was moving backward when he caught this ball, but that ball looked like it was inside the 20-yard line instead of being marked at the 20.5-yard line.
It was at least a half a yard shot. Howard again. Got a good block on the corner. Turns it up, fighting for extra yardage. Now being pushed back. And they'll be shy of the sticks.
That was that same toss sweep with both guards pulling that Howard scored the touchdown on earlier in the game.
Remember, this is an Iowa run defense that has allowed only 85.8 yards a game. Howard had 119 in the first half.
You do not want to give this ball back if you're Indiana. I know your defense came out and got a nice stop.
But you can only ask him to stop him so many times. Howard trying to move the sticks, and he does.
You know, I give Kevin Wilson so much credit for what he has done here at Indiana. Last year, if they don't lose Nate Sudfeld against Iowa, I think they win 7 or 8 games. Tevin Coleman was just a terrific back. This year, of course, he had the injury to Howard, the injury to Sudfeld, but these guys can play, up front especially.
Sudfeld with plenty of time, overthrows. He has been as inaccurate today as we've seen him all year long.
That one was good coverage there by Iowa. Not sure if he wasn't just trying to put that one away, but we certainly, against Michigan State, saw him lasered in a little bit.
He's only hitting 50%, 62.8% on the season. Redding is checked in to give Howard a breather. Iowa showed a 4-man front. They come with that. Redding will only pick up a couple before he's pushed back. When this clock has really burned down here in the third quarter.
Well, I think this is Kevin Wilson. He said we're a fast offense. There's with the signs to show what the plays are. But for Kevin Wilson, he said we want to consider slowing down, but we wonder if it's going to hurt our rhythm. We're a tempo team. We like to go fast. And right now it's like he's stuck in that middle zone. He doesn't want his defense back out there, but it's not quite maybe helping the offense to slow down.
Sudfeld dives and got it. If he slides, he's short. And he realized it and dives for the first down.
This is really good recognition. You could see he knew the yard to make. And what a nice thing for Kevin Wilson to have his quarterback healthy, because a couple weeks ago, he wouldn't have been able to outrun that.
Absolutely. Redding off left tackle. When most of the runs have been right there, whether they ran off tackle or cut it outside, they want to go to the left side of this defense.
Sudfeld, a big guy, 6'6", 240. He really does run well enough. I mean, he can get out of the pocket and run, but with that ankle healthy, sure makes a difference for him.
Actually, the left side of the offense, the right side of the defensive line. Now they come back the other way with Redding. Nice cut. Redding still on his feet to the 36. 2 really good offensive lines competing here this afternoon.
Yeah, watch the right tackle, Demetric Camille. As Indiana now going fast, but Camille had a pancake block on Nate Meyer, who was looking for the hold, but that was a slam by Camille. And Camille, a guy, the right tackle, who last year Kevin John said he just wasn't quite physically ready to play. Takes a lot of personal pride, the right tackle. And in Ohio State and Michigan State against Shalik Calhoun and Joey Bosa, this guy played really well.
Yes, he did. And that's as elite as it gets. That'll be the end of the third quarter. Indiana driving down by 4. Sudfeld trying to get the troops fired up. We'll be back to Bloomington after this. Indiana has penetrated to the 34. Howard back in there, fighting for extra yards. Very close to the sticks again.
For Indiana, they had a 4-0 start with a favorable non-conference schedule. Then they ran into one of the more difficult conference schedules in the entire country. And they've gone 0-4 since, and it's been about the fourth quarter.
Howard to the outside, first down and more.
They have been outscored by Rutgers, Michigan State, and Ohio State 58-0 in their last 3 games. And as Howard asks to come out of the game feeling a little tuckered, as you could imagine, a guy who's played as hard as he has. But for Kevin Wilson, 18 for 160 for Howard as he comes off. But for Kevin Wilson, he said, guys, you've played really well. You've played some great fourth quarters. Trust me, there's just a little more in there. And let's see if they have it.
His 160 is almost twice what that great rush defense allows in a ball game.
Nice job by Sudfeld.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he saw
he
Jones.
Said, I'm going to get killed here, and I'm getting rid of this.
Well, I saw Desmond King, who had an 88-yard interception return last week against against Maryland on that exact same play, a wide receiver screen, and 14 was on top of it. Sudfeld had studied film and said, no, I don't want to give this guy his 8th interception return of the game. Nice choice by Sudfeld.
That was a play that could have gotten ugly in a hurry, and Sudfeld did the smart thing and got rid of it.
What a big quarter for Indiana football. They had a signature win last year, beat number 18 Missouri on the road, who went on to win the SEC East. And Sudfeld got hurt. They have not had a signature win in conference. An undefeated Iowa team this late, I think that would qualify.
Majette is the tailback. He gets the carry. Got to about the 10. They need to reach about the 2.5 for first down. Iowa saying they had the ball, but Majette's forward progress had been stopped. Huge third down here.
Simi Cobbs, there's the look at the Indiana success or lack thereof against top 10. Simi Cobbs at the top of the screen. That's the 6'4" jump ball receiver guy.
This wasn't the biggest crowd in the world to begin with. A lot of them left at halftime. Sort of feel bad for the Indiana players. Sudfeld trying to buy time. Throws for the corner in the end zone, incomplete. Field goal would get you within 1.
Yeah. Wow, this is a tough deal to have to go for the field goal on third down. Whew. And awfully lucky that ball was not intercepted. Jordan Lomax standing right there. But what a disappointing drive for Indiana to all of a sudden get to a place. And, Jordan Howard took himself out before that first down.
Yes.
They ran Devine, they ran Majette, and you can see the difference that Howard makes. All of a sudden you're in the fourth down instead of scoring a touchdown.
Oaks is hit from 32. This is from 27 to get within a point. And he's true. And Indiana against undefeated Iowa has closed to within 1. 13 at 3-1.
How about that defensive stop for Michigan against Minnesota last week? Of course, Ohio State playing Minnesota tonight. Jerry Kill, send him the very best, who resigned effective immediately because of his health a couple of weeks ago. Tracy Clay's taking over there.
They tried to win one for him.
Boy, they sure did.
So they'll start from the 25. Big series here for Iowa, as they have had their lead cut to 1 as we check in with Adnan Virk. All right, Adnan, thanks very much. Some huge games, not only this week, but in the next 3. Beathard sets up underneath. There is a flag down as CJ completes a pass out to near the 30-yard line. Check the penalty.
Personal foul. Defense. Hands to the face. 15-yard penalty be added on the end of the run. Automatic. First down.
They didn't give a number, but we're showing you Darius Latham, who's their best down lineman.
Latham has the hand in the face there. He isn't getting much of an advantage with it, but once that hand gets up to the face, you got to be able to pull it off. Kevin Wilson on the top side just a tad upset. That's an awfully big penalty. I mean, Iowa was way back and now out near midfield.
Beathard, little half roll and off target on the throw.
Well, this is, they haven't been able to call many bootlegs because of Beathard's health. We mentioned in the first half that he's suffered a groin injury about a month ago that will not heal until after the season. So it's something that we saw him run and dive for a touchdown at the end of the half. There's Greg Davis hiding behind that hole there, but bootleg hasn't been called much, and that there is a guy with a groin trying to throw and get his body square, throws it inaccurately.
And as Jerry Punch told us, they expect the only way to really fix it is to have surgery after the season. Movement by Sean Walsh.
False start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty, second down.
He was first team All Big Ten freshman a year ago and a high school All-American.
Sean thought that one was on 1 and it was on 2. That's a counting error.
How often as an offensive lineman did you forget the snap count, especially since you had to snap it?
It's weird. Sometimes almost every play, because you hear the count, you hear the play, you go up, you're thinking something, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, what's it on? Of course, it's silent snap a lot.
This is going to leave them a couple of yards shy of a first down. Excuse me, I'm looking at the rear stick. Going to leave them a yard shy of getting to the original line of scrimmage.
A yard shy of 3rd and 10.
That's right.
And this is where Beathard is going to, he sits in the pocket. So this is a place where if you're Brian Knorr, you could consider a blitz here, even if it comes late, just to try to get Beathard out of rhythm.
Mitchell is his back who goes out in the pattern. Now Beathard being chased. Tough situation for him to be in. Throws underneath and has the first down. What a throw by Beathard to Vandenberg. Running left, throws sidearm back to the right.
There is no way a guy with a groin, and you can see him a little hobbled right there, but there's no way turning this way and having to throw back against his body. Good job by Marcus Oliver not going high to the head there, but coming off. And Vandenberg, he had to double clutch that one. 89 for a moment, thought, oh no, don't drop this. Okay, I got it.
Gain of 17 yards. Daniels back in at tailback. Beathard fakes to him. Wants to throw again.
Right, he just didn't have it. Just didn't quite have it running that far to his right. Vandenberg could have come back, but you can tell that groin and I've had an injury like that. I had it when I was in college, my first couple of years. It bothered me. So this is, it's always there for you. Just that you can see a little bit of the grimace on the face and trying to turn the body and just gutting it out. And it's an injury that can't get worse than it is. So he's going to continue to play unless it becomes so painful he can't compete.
It's like Dabo Sweeney said a couple of weeks ago, you got to bring your own guts. Beathard hangs in the pocket, throws over the middle, has his big tight end, Krager Coble, and he's very close to the sticks. The market looks like they're going to give him a first down. And Clyde Newton had him but missed him.
Boy, that was a great finish by Krager Coble. He was about 3 yards shy of the first down when he caught this. 6'4", 250, was able to stretch out. A lot of people think he may have the best hands on the team as a receiver. Good throw by Beathard. Boy, with an injury and everything, he sure can, on the short and intermediate, he sure can put it on the money.
Beathard, perfect strike to Vandenberg, and Vandenberg inside the 5, first and goal Hawkeyes. Jonathan Crawford saved the touchdown at least temporarily, and a beautiful throw by Beathard.
Note to all future opponents of Iowa, Vandenberg is the guy that they look to all the time. That was coverage by true freshman Crawford over there. And now if you're Iowa, it may take 3 runs, but I don't think they're going to do anything but run it here.
Completely tight formation. Daniels the tailback. He dives to the 1.
Here's a question. If you score 6 and go for 2, you're up 2 scores. You score 6, you're up 7 and a touchdown. I think you kick the PAT because then you force them to go for 2, but it's at least worth conversation, I think.
First things first. Daniels.
There it is.
There's the first thing. Nice block by Pleva, his fullback. 244 pounds. Number 42 led the way in there. You can't do that with stamps.
It doesn't look like a hobby anymore.
Not anymore. Good ball game. Iowa now up by 8. 10:07 to go. Thought about it, then takes a knee. So they'll start from the 25. Tonight, ESPN has Arizona at USC at 10:30 Eastern. When that game wraps up, SportsCenter at night. Catch all the highlights, reactions from a busy day in college football, the NBA National Hockey League. That's SportsCenter at night after the Wildcats and Trojans on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN.
The way Iowa can run the ball with 10:07 left in the fourth quarter, this is a big, big offensive series for Indiana.
And Howard does not start this series as the back. It's Divine Redding. Redding goes in motion. The pass underneath by Sudfeld, off target and incomplete. We saw Howard take himself out of the ball game when they were in the red zone on the last possession, and they were working on his right arm. You see a little bit of tape on it there.
Seemed okay. Just looked like they had a cut or something they were working. It didn't seem like he was unhealthy.
Sudfeld, play fake and throws, and it was dropped. Thornton, I'm sorry, it's Corsaro. Well, that was a catchable ball.
Yeah, this is a second drop by Corsaro. Of course, they're missing Danny Friend, the tight end, who's out with a quad injury. We expected him to be a big part of the offense, but Corsaro easily picks up the first down. And here you are, 3rd and 10. I'm not sure you want to be giving this ball back to Iowa.
Sudfeld's numbers are way down today. One of the reasons he's had 5 drops.
And this is that walk-around defensive line for Iowa, not showing where they're coming from.
Now they come with the blitz. And they got there. Sudfeld taken down by Neiman. It was very confusing for the offensive line to get your calls right. And Iowa did a great job of disguising who was coming.
Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator for Iowa. I think we were talking about Kirk Ferentz maybe as Big Ten or National Coach of the Year with what they've done. But I think Phil Parker, you have to consider the defense coordinator for Iowa for a National Assistance Award this year, the Broyles Award. This defense that no one expected, middle of the pack maybe in the Big Ten, has really shown up, and to be holding Indiana to 20 points is a pretty special day for them.
Toth, beautiful kick. And King forced into a fair catch, punt of 42 with a lot of hang time on it. Iowa with the lead and the football, 9:13 to left in the game. They're trying to go 9-0. Undefeated Iowa with a 28-20 lead, and Ed, that last drive was exactly what they had to have.
And the fact that Iowa can get C.J. Beathard to make plays like this with that injured groin, it's just, what a bonus. It's something you don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He's been injured for over a month, but he really has been on the money sometimes today. But once they get inside the 5, you know what Iowa's going to do. That time it's LaShawn Daniels who finishes it off, and Indiana only 54 seconds of possession time on their last drive, handing it right back to Iowa.
Good play fake by Beathard. And overthrows by a couple of steps. Tavon Smith maybe had half a step, but he threw it away from him. And let's check in with Adnan Virk. Adnan. We got a bunch of them today, don't we? And this is huge for Iowa. They get points out of this drive. They go up 2 scores. Blitz coming. And just off the fingertips of Jermanique Smith. Dives for it and couldn't come up. And that brings up a big 3rd down.
Yeah, and that's where you start to see Beathard with his injury. The first, he has trouble with the long throw. This one, of course, to a true freshman, thrown a bit to the outside. But Beathard's good short intermediate, but he's having tough on those longer throws.
How many times did Brian Norris said they blitzed against Michigan State?
66 times.
He brought it that time.
He sure did.
May bring it again. Trying to get Beathard out of rhythm. They show blitz. And they come with it. Beathard hangs in the pocket, over the middle, and enough for a first down. What a catch by Krager Coble. Covered like a blanket. Chase Dutra was right there, and somehow Beathard fit it in.
What if Indiana ends up losing this game? Well, they're going to be able to look back on an offense and say, we had drops when we needed first downs. Iowa had catches when they needed first downs. That was not an easy catch. Krager Coble, the best hands on the team, a very good catcher of the ball, but Iowa has made the plays in the pass game today. Indiana has not.
Got the first down by the length of a football. Now they'll go back to the ground game, eat up some yards, eat up some time with LaShawn Daniels, who will not go down. Dragging a tackler with him. And it was Chris Covington.
And tick, 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 tick is just going to start to melt. And now Iowa getting near field goal position. So hard for a defense. With this good of an offensive line, you think how many times you've had to just fight and scratch to not give up an inch and a yard, and now late in the game, you can see some of those red jerseys not able to get off the blocks as easily.
Daniels hit it to 35 and driven back. And back to the point you made at the start of this drive. If Iowa gets points out of this drive, field goal or touchdown, they're using up so much time, and if they get it back the next time, they can just burn the clock to nothing.
You know, for Kevin Wilson and his crew, just the middle of this schedule, Ohio State, Michigan State, Iowa, Michigan in a 5-game stretch.
Yeah,
it almost feels a little unfair to a program being rebuilt.
Blitz coming. Beathard beats it. The pass to Vanderberg, and he's to the 11. First down, Hawkeyes. That's a nice combination.
Can you imagine if Beathard was healthy? And like we said earlier in the game, we have seen Clemson play this year. We've seen Ohio State twice. We've seen Michigan State twice. Those are all teams that are ahead of Iowa in the rankings. And I'm telling you, Iowa could go toe-to-toe with all those teams, and I'm not so sure they can't beat them. This guy's awfully good. Imagine if that groin was healthy, how good he would be.
Back in the eye, Daniels hit at the line of scrimmage. Maybe didn't get back to the line of scrimmage and driven back. Clock down to 6:38 and turning.
And here's the problem for Kirk Ferentz. His kicker, Marshall Kane, is actually better from farther away.
Yes.
He has missed more kicks from inside 40. He's missed 2 than he has from outside of 40. So you'd love to just keep ticking it away and get this to 2 scores, but 2 of those 3 misses this year have been inside for Kane. So a little inaccurate once you get closer. So not just a gimme here for Iowa to get up 2 scores.
Beathard out in the flat to Kittle, the tight end. Beautifully executed. Kittle only with 7 catches all year coming into this ball game. They just run him out in the flat for his 2nd catch of the day, and Beathard hits him in stride.
What a gutty job. Kittle, a wide receiver in high school. He does his best C.J. Beathard impression.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, I think the coaches aren't so upset 46 went sky high, but they weren't very happy when Beathard did it with his bad groin and all.
They'll send Kane on for the point after. Kittle gets the touchdown that may take Iowa to the 9-0 mark in the Big Ten.
Games last year, got run out of the building by Tennessee in the bowl game. And there are no people in college football who can say they thought Iowa would have a chance for the college football playoff. No one can claim that.
Check in with the studio. Here's Adnan Virk. Is there anyone in the country who doesn't root for Laquan Treadwell after what happened last year? It's great to see him come back. Howard.
Ooh. It's a
mug inside, about 2 yards.
Inside running play, down 2 scores, under 6 minutes. Oh, and Howard looks a little slow getting up there.
Blitz coming. Sudfeld hangs in the pocket, throws to the sideline.
There you go.
And that is the catch by Simi Cobbs, who was just standing on the sideline waiting on the ball.
Well, the only way Iowa's losing if someone runs by them right now. You make Indiana earn this, and then even if they score, they have to recover the onside kick.
Four-man rush. Sudfeld to the sideline. Did he get a foot down? It is an interception.
That is the 8th interception of the year for Desmond King.
And that ties the all-time record, including from Niall Kinnick, the legend, in 1939.
Watch as he drops back and keeps his eyes on the quarterback. You hear people talk about eye discipline for defensive backs. He's watching the whole time. He sees the ball coming back, does a terrific baseball turn to get back. They talk about King. He may not run the fastest 40 time in the world, but he has the great instincts, good feel. 8th interception of the year, ties the Iowa record, and could not have come at a better time for Iowa to try to run this thing out.
What a great play on his part. Can you imagine having 8 interceptions in one season?
Well, they've got they have as many as 6 games left to play. You got 3 to finish up the regular season. If you make it the Big Ten championship, you win. Right. You go to the playoffs, you got
Offense,
2.
Number 42, 10-yard penalty, first down.
So do you think 20 years from now, if King is able to break the record, say he gets 10 or 12, do you think they'll change Kinnick Stadium to King Stadium?
No.
No? Not going to happen?
They have to do a little more than that. But this penalty will back them up on the holding call on Pleva, the fullback.
But that was just a terrific read. Sudfeld probably held onto that ball a little long and put a little too much air on it. But, man, your corner cannot play that outside corner sideline route that well. The receiver was pulling him back to the inside. He never took his eyes off Sudfeld and did a terrific spin to get back to the ball.
You get a big dose of LaShawn Daniels here as they'll work on the clock.
Now Kevin Wilson starting to use some of his timeouts on 3rd down here. That's a good use of it. Save a little bit of time. You get a stop here, you're not out of it.
The Hoosiers' epitaph right now is we got so close so many times against so many good teams. Here's the remaining schedule for Iowa. Certainly not a cakewalk against Minnesota. They will be favored heavily in the last 2, certainly, but playing at Nebraska is never a picnic.
Win out, which they're better than all 3 of those teams. I'm really impressed with Iowa. This is the first time I've seen them since 2013. We had a game a couple of seasons ago, but
they're so fundamentally good, which they have always been under Kirk Ferentz.
And when people say that, though, And you're right. They really are. Their offensive line is as good, as well coached as you'll see. Their secondary is just unbelievable. But they also have NFL players. You know, you say for Iowa, oh, they're really scrappy and they're good. They got 3 guys on the offensive line who are going to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
King's going to play in the NFL. They have defensive tackles going to play in the NFL. I mean, they have talent. Beathard is a guy who, even not healthy, can be awfully sharp.
Indiana just has to sell out here and hope to shake the ball loose from Daniels. And they will use that timeout shy of a first down.
If you were ever going to block a punt, if you ever had a punt block scheme that you thought, you know what, this is going to get there, we can only call it once, this is when you'd want to call it.
And we've got an Indiana player down.
It's Andre Brown, a true freshman corner who has made a couple of nice plays today.
It's a very young secondary. They keep saying that. Why? One of the reasons is they've been burned in the fourth quarter, but they're very talented players. And if you follow college football, you can, in 1 year, SMU has proven you can build an offense. You can get skill players, you can run a spread, you can score on people. It takes longer to build a defense.
Got to get some depth on the defensive line and linebacker, which Indiana has. They lost Antonio Allen, a starting safety before the season, suspended, then decided he would transfer. They've had some injuries there. Devontae Williams, another freshman cornerback who's been battling a knee injury. So it's been up and down. And for Kevin Wilson, their last 3 games, number 16 Michigan comes here next week, at Maryland and at Purdue, still searching for the 2 victories to get them bowl eligible.
10 men at the line, they peel away, and Dylan Kidd with a low line drive kick to Page. 5-yard return on a 44-yard kick, and Riley McCarron, one of the backup wide receivers on special teams, gets in on the tackle.
Just a whole different second half, and give a lot of credit to Iowa. They changed up their front a little bit, but you know, it was that first down. They were going back and forth whether they were running Howard or throwing on first down, and I can't remember a first down where they had a complete pass. And I think that was really in the second half. And I think that was really the change over, was they just got no yardage in first down in the second half, and they were getting 4, 5, 6 yards.
And a lot of big drops too.
Yes.
Sudfeld throws underneath. This is Page. Makes the first man miss. Page across midfield. Now they get Jordan Howard in there. They're using him as a wide receiver. Gain of 27 on the throw from Sudfeld.
Not over. 2 scores.
Sudfeld wants it all. 50-50 ball. Flag is down. Simi Cobbs couldn't bring it in against Greg Mabin, but this may be pass interference.
6'4" Cobbs going up against Mabin, who's 6'2", tall for a corner.
Pass interference. Defense, number 13. 15-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage. Automatic. First down.
Looks like Mabin had really good position here.
It's got to be the right hand at the start of the jump, because that's the only contact.
I'm not. I don't think that's pass interference. I don't think he changed the receiver enough for that to be called. Guys put their hands on each other. That's allowed. It did not look to me like Mabin moved Cobbs enough for that to be pass interference.
No, it didn't look like he turned him at all, did it?
They can hand fight. That's allowed. If you called that, you'd have to call it on every play.
It's not as a damaging a penalty as it is in the NFL. They'll give to Howard, and Howard will get about 10.
And I think what Kevin Wilson is doing with these run plays, because he's going to need to go fast at the end. I think right now just trying to keep Iowa a little bit honest, because he knows he needs 2 touchdowns, not getting away from his full offense.
Sudfeld throws to Cobbs at the sideline, out of bounds. Stop the clock with 3:47 to go.
This is where 3rd and 1, where I think you may want to take a shot. You need to get something in the end zone and see if you can't have some time left. And Cobb's not able to get a foot down. So let's see if on 3rd and short, this is where Wilson decides to throw one into the end zone.
They'll give it to Howard, trying to make sure they get the first down. They didn't get it. And the clock will continue to turn. Now it's 4th down. This just eats up so much time.
The clock's it's not terrible right now because you still need to score and then you need an onside kick. But, boy, you get that onside kick, you'd like to have a little bit of time left for your offense if you recover it.
They'll try to run it again with Howard. Second effort. Boy, this just depends on the spot. They'll stop the clock to move the sticks. Then you've got to be ready to go, and it is a first down. And as soon as it's set, they'll start the clock again. 22 carries, 173 yards for Howard.
I do like Indiana. If his knee went down there, that's not a first down.
And it looked like it did. They go underneath to Redding. Got the first down, but doesn't get out of bounds. Cole Fisher had a chance to stop him short, but missed him. Boy, they give it to Redding again, and he's tackled inbounds. And
I understood it up to a point, but now, especially if it's not Howard carrying the ball, Howard being the guy who could probably score, but man, this is a lot of clock to run off.
Well, certainly they're banking on scoring and then getting an onside kick because they don't have any timeouts left. Simi Cobb's got one hand on it, couldn't hold it in the corner of the end zone. Greg Mabin was right there with him.
Another good job by Mabin. This ball thrown hard. Mabin right there was fighting with him, and Cobbs could not get his second hand up.
Third down. 15 out of 35 for Sudfeld now, 169 yards. Sudfeld with time. Throws to Cobbs, and he dropped it. That's 6 drops. Turned around to find the defender and to run, and the ball hit him right in the chest. Holy cow, and he knows it too.
Yeah, what a bummer for Indiana. If they catch 3 of those balls, I bet you this drive is to win the game, not down 2 scores. And here it goes, 4th down. Got your stacked receivers on both sides, and Iowa saying, wait a minute, we've got a few of these timeouts ourselves on this 4th down. Let's take a look.
Can't take them home with you.
No.
Charge timeout.
Well, we've said this before during this game. When you play somebody that's undefeated, as they have against Ohio State, Michigan State, and now Iowa, you've got to make plays. You can't drop balls. You can't commit silly penalties. And they've done it.
And against Michigan State and Ohio State, which were 2 games we called, it was the defense that kind of gave a little bit there in the 4th quarter.
Always something.
Yeah, and that's what Kevin Wilson has said is earlier in the year we complimented each other. Right now the team isn't quite complimenting. When the defense plays well, the offense is off, which is kind of what we've seen today. This second half offense is not what we've seen out of Indiana. And it is, for Hoosier fans, a bit of a bummer. They're waiting for kind of a breakthrough game and season under Kevin Wilson, but here's the truth. 80 teams will play in bowl games this year. From what we've seen with Indiana, whether they're in or not, they're as good or better than about 65 of those teams, whether they qualify or not.
And as you pointed out, they had to run the gauntlet in their schedule the last few weeks. 4th and 9, last gasp. Sudfeld for the end zone. Touchdown! Got it to Michael Cooper, the big tight end.
And that was a tough catch. That was what's called the back shoulder throw, where you throw it to the trailing shoulder and you put some heat on it.
And he did.
Yeah, we saw the drops by Corsaro, the other tight end, this time Cooper, who's just back a few games ago from an ankle injury, lined up almost like a wing, and that ball is just thrown on you can't throw that ball any better. That coverage by Maurice Fleming was terrific, and look at that catch.
And what a throw, almost like a wheel route.
Yep.
And they get the point after they're still alive, 35-27 with 2:24 to go. We've got an update. Adnan Vert. The Clemson Tigers, that's payback for them. They have suffered so many tough losses to the Seminoles, including last year when they played them off their feet and still find a way to lose it at the end. They're not going to find a way to lose it this time, it doesn't appear.
Don't be surprised if you see Iowa and Clemson in the playoffs. I really like this Iowa team. I think the Kirk Ferentz group has been overlooked, and everyone think, oh, they're the plucky Hawkeyes. They recovered a fumble by Wisconsin on the one that was, all of these reasons why they're not one of the better teams in the country. But this is a great offensive line and a really good defense.
That pass from Sudfeld makes him the all-time touchdown leader in Indiana history. Congratulations to him for a brilliant career. .224, you have no choice with no timeouts. You have to go to the onside kick. They got the bounce. The ball's loose. Two Indiana players had the best shots at it, could not come up with the ball, and now it's a scrum.
You couldn't have drawn it up better. The first guy from Iowa muffs it, and Indiana has two guys that look like they're falling on it, and were not able to secure the ball.
Kidding? Two Indiana players had shots at it. Jordan Lomax had the first try for Iowa. It came loose. And Kevin Wilson trying to get his players off the field. Lomax had it come loose.
Wow, and that's Ricky Jones.
Holy cow.
On the hands team, that's Ricky Jones. A wide receiver going in there to try to get that ball. Oh, and it's Krager Coble. You could see right as Coble was going down, he had the hand and started scooping it into it. But Ricky Jones out there, because of his hands, they get exactly what they want when Hillier, another receiver, you hear the term hand seams, you get all the guys with the best hands out there. Hillier, who had a terrific catch earlier, not able to hold on to it. But Iowa, with 2:20 left, they're still going to need a first down to run this clock out.
Big play by the tight end to come up with the ball. Can you imagine they would have had it at the 50 just coming off the last touchdown?
Yeah, and with plenty of time. We were talking about the run plays, but they had plenty of time left if they would have recovered that. And now, that one timeout, Iowa cannot run out the clock without picking up a first down. So that timeout, you obviously don't want to burn it after a first or second down. You're looking to
use every second here.
Yeah, you look to use it after third if you can.
We have seen some really bad clock management throughout every year. I mean, that's one area of college football that doesn't seem to improve. But this is every second down to one. I want a timeout, says Kirk Ferentz.
And then the question becomes, if you get to fourth down with what happened for Michigan and Michigan State, are you really going to punt this ball?
Yes.
I like their chances against Minnesota, Purdue, and at Nebraska.
They'll have about 30 seconds left, will Indiana, barring a first down. Daniels. Oh, excuse me, Beathard. Bad groin and all.
And that, my
fools
friends,
him and gets the first down. What a great play call that was.
Greg Davis was hired a couple years ago when Ken O'Keefe left to go to the NFL for Iowa. They haven't called many run plays. You can see that Beathard is not 100% with that pulled groin. He's suffered for about a month. But that, you just couldn't call it any better. Mangieri, the backside defensive end, sucked down to try to stop the run, and there's Greg Davis once again. He doesn't want us. There you go, Greg. Get a little FaceTime for a terrific call.
C.J. Beathard has rushed for 38 yards today, bad groin and all. What an exceptional play call. And if you're the Indiana defense, you've got to sell out for Daniels, the tailback. You can't cover that.
Well, and a little, you're right on the kind of seconds of whether you can run it out by taking a knee. My math, with one timeout, when you get a first down, you should be able to run off two plus minutes. So I'm a little surprised that Iowa even trying to run the ball. Just take the knee here. Only thing that hurts you is a turnover. The only thing that you take the snap and take a knee. and it's over. I saw Washington State a few years ago. Same thing. They could have taken a knee, handed it to a fullback. He fumbles. The other team goes in and scores to win. So
someday for C.J. Beathard, the 6'2 junior from Franklin, Tennessee.
And this was a call on a 3rd and goal. We were a little surprised they ran, and the play was upheld after review, but he did clearly was not comfortable coming up from that. But in the second half, he's done an unbelievable job when they've asked him to move out of the pocket. That bootleg not called very often. And then it was the keeper, after faking the handoff to Daniels, that gave the first down that's going to seal this thing.
And he looked good as a straight drop-back passer, extremely accurate, particularly when he had Vandenberg over the middle.
Well, he's learning how to play with that pulled groin and understanding how it affects his play. He clearly is affected on longer throws, especially big throws down the field. Doesn't quite have the accuracy he did before that injury, but short, middle of the field with this offensive line, with the depth that they've now built at running back. This is, it's easy to say that, this is an old school offense, but they can play with folks.
They've got to snap it one more time, and that's it. Beathard takes a knee. The clock will expire on Indiana's dreams of an upset again. They faced 3 undefeated teams, played them until the very last, but lost to all 3. Moral victories are very hollow. Courageous performance by C.J. Beathard.
Yes. When he got hurt at the end of that end of the first half, when he did the Superman into the end zone, he did not look like he was very comfortable. And good for Indiana fans, for Jordan Howard. He's back. He's healthy. Big part of today's game.
And he is something else. Let's go to Jerry Pons.
Coach, time and again, your battered quarterback, C.J. Beathard, found a way to make a play. How would you describe his performance tonight?
He made some real big third down throws in the second half and made some plays with his feet. Kind of surprised us all on that one.
This time of year, not only important to win, but maybe to impress the committee. Why should they be impressed with your Hawkeyes tonight?
We're not worried about a committee. We're just worried about winning the next game. Today was Indiana. We knew this was going to be a really tough ball game. Just happy to get a good conference win in November. We got 3 to go. We'll enjoy this one for about 24 hours.
Hey, Coach, congratulations. Go celebrate.
Thanks, Sherry. Thank you.
Nice try, Dr. Punch. Coaches wanted to